few episodes ago, we talked about Coby White stepping into the role of the clutch player left by DeMar DeRozan. And today I want to talk about how the Chicago Bulls have really been promoting and pushing Coby White as well as the other young Bulls players in their marketing over the course of the offseason. And does that mean that that investment is going to pay off on the court for those players? We're also going to look at Isaac Okoro's contract extension and how that compares to his draft mate in Patrick Williams. Plus, the Chicago Bulls tease the City Edition jerseys. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. Well, before the content, I know I was promoting my appearance over in the PCL, the Players' Choice Debate League. And I was in the Elite Eight. I had a playoff matchup. I won that matchup 2-1 as far as out of the rounds there. And I am moving on to the Final Four. As soon as you have the graphic and the dates as far as when that battle is going to be taking place, I'm going to be taking a part of a battle with Mars, who's one of the more, I think probably the most popular personality over on that platform. So make sure you guys stay in tune with us on that one. Thank you for showing up and supporting your boy as well during that battle. I appreciate it. I might post a little clip of that towards the end of this episode just to remind everybody who Haize is. But with that said, man, I appreciate you guys so much for everything, what you mean to this channel and everything. So, but with that said, let's go ahead and get into it, man. So one thing that I noticed and just kind of going through after seeing, something is that, the Bulls in their promo little post that they made for the announcement of the City Edition jerseys, it was clearly Coby White. And that got me to thinking on something, right? I went back and looked at basically all the marketing things that the Bulls have done over the summer. That's like, the end of the season things, the schedule release things, the home opener, those type of things, the key dates on the schedule to look at. And throughout all of that, there was one thing that Zach LaVine appeared in. Now, there was a drawing of Zach LaVine over in the corner during the schedule release video, so I guess you want to count that as well. But as far as like a picture of Zach LaVine, he was on the Bears opening day, the kickoff weekend post that the Chicago Bulls made with Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Coby White, and Zach LaVine was on there as well. I think Manas Busilis may have been on there, but Zach LaVine was on there. Other than that, it's been the majority of Coby White. He's slowly been taking over as the representative for Bulls in media, as well as showing up at other events. You look at over the last couple of months, just the last few weeks, he has been at a Sky game. He was at the Bears home opener. Then if you extend that to over the summer, he was at a White Sox game. He appeared at a Cubs game as well in that time. Coby White's appeared in videos with Connor Bedard. Like, he's been in a lot. And the Chicago Bulls, in a big part of kind of now moving their marketing from DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine to recently it's been a lot of Coby White with some Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu sprinkled in there as well. And so the Bulls are slowly moving their marketing over towards the younger Bulls players. Now, the thing, of course, with my conspiracy theory brain and trying to wrap my head around things is that investment also going to be paid on the court? If you've been promoting these players, is that because that's kind of where the direction of the team feels like it's going? Not to say that Vooch and Zach LaVine at the start of the season won't still have roles, but is it going to be shifting now towards the younger focus is truly what we're seeing from the Bulls. And that's been one of the points of contention for a lot of Bulls fans as far as why they kind of don't believe in the Bulls really going younger yet, because you still have Zach LaVine. You still have Nikola Vucevic. You still have Torrey Craig. You still have Javon Carter there, right? You still have these guys here in Chicago Bulls uniforms, specifically those first two, that are really going to still take a lion's share of the usage with the Chicago Bulls. Like, you're not going to have Nikola Vucevic on a team. He's not offering you anything defensively. You're not going to completely phase him out of your offense, right? You're still going to run some high pick and low actions for him, things like that. Probably even more now that the mid-range is going to be opened up a little bit more for him because DeMar DeRozan's not here. Now, Zach is going to score in the mid-range as well, but we know even with Zach moving to the three, he's going to shoot considerably more threes than what DeMar DeRozan has done, right? You got Coby White, who's turned into one of the better pull-up three-point shooters in the league last year, right? So you got those type of things. So there should be a little bit more spacing. So you're still going to go to Nikola Vucevic, right? But I think it's also the style. It's because Josh Giddey, while at one point averaging 17 points per game, he's not always a player that looks to score first, right? So he's going to be trying to get other players involved. So because you have that point guard now that Josh Giddey's going to play here for the Bulls and the style of point guard that he likes to play like, it's going to open up some more things for other people. But the thing is, to bring it all back to the topic, is this truly an investment that the Bulls are ready to make? I think that when you look at the coaching changes for the Chicago Bulls, you got two former assistant coaches that have done really good for teams that have won titles or competed for titles, that have been heads of player development. So maybe that also shifts that gear towards the young focus. But it's not so much the Julian Phillips, the Dalen Terrys, right? The Modest Busilises. It's the three of Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, and Coby White. The three players that the Chicago Bulls fans are most familiar with seeing, even though they may have some issues with like a Patrick Williams. These are faces that the Bulls fans are used to seeing. And the question that I have here is, on top of whether it's an investment that will be made on the court for these players, is Chicago ready to embrace Coby White as the leader of the Bulls, right? I know us and the people that we talk about, that I talk to regularly, are huge basketball fans, are huge Chicago Bulls fans, but kind of the more general audience, right? It's kind of the more casual. Keep in mind, even in the city of Chicago, like with every fan base, it's more casual people. Yeah, they'll know Coby White. So is it just that because they'll know that face? Or is this a sign of things to come for this franchise? And it would get back to AK. And I think that's one of the overarching things here, is that when AK and Eversley took over this team, right? And I know it was forever ago. They've done so much to the contrary of this. It's kind of hard to hold them to the saying as well. But when they first came here, they said they were going to build organically through the draft and develop. And less than 6 months after that, probably more like 8 months after that, they made a trade for Nikola Vucevic that sent them down the path then of starting to make win-now moves. Is this truly a change of direction? Not to say that the Bulls still can't win. For you Bulls fans that hold out hope that the Bulls can win 40 games or more next season, I'm not saying that this is against that, right? But you have to look at this and ask, is AK and Eversley getting more closer to what they originally wanted to do? Something that the Denver Nuggets also did and AK saw there, right? Something that with Mark Eversley in the stops that he was at in Toronto and Philly and other stops as well, like, I believe Mark Eversley was in Philly. Am I making that up? I think he was. I may be making that up. But in those stops, like, they built through the draft. Now, Philly's much different than what Toronto did, but even Toronto, they ended up making a trade for Kawhi Leonard that got them a title, and but since then they've basically been building organically again. That is the more sustainable thing. And I hope that with this focus, this change of direction, whatever you want to call it for the Chicago Bulls, that it really does come back to building organically, investing in your young talent, building those young players up, because that's what's most sustainable. We saw it now. Going after the flash in the pan, going after the win now moves, it's way more difficult. It's way more difficult to do, and it's harder to sustain when you're doing those type of things as well. It's very hard to sustain. So when you get down to that, let's hope that that is what we start seeing from the Chicago Bulls team, and we start seeing a team that is moving it more intentfully, right? Intentionally, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. Intentionally, I'm making up words like C-Dub. That is being more intentional about the development and the promotion of these young players on this roster. Because I tell you what, I know we had a voicemail from Brian Washington over the weekend, and where he asked, well, why the Bulls are going younger? Why people want to see the Bulls go even younger? Why are we making win now moves? Because we did that. And that was something, and we can't say that we want this front office to learn from their mistakes and then turn around and do the same thing over. So while I understand that a lot of Bulls fans want to see this Bulls team be better right away, they don't want to go through 3-4 years of a semi-rebuild or full-out rebuild until where the Bulls just suck for a while. A lot of people don't want it, and maybe you don't have to see that. If these young players, that investment in these young players over the next 1 to 2 years starts working out to the fact that we now know what Julian Phillips is. Patrick Williams has made a step. Ayo and Coby have continued making the steps that they started making last year. Josh Giddey comes here and is much better, or more like that 2022-23 season, more consistently, and helping these players around him be better. If those things happen, Jalen Smith ends up being a hit of a signing for the Chicago Bulls, right? If those things happen, yeah, we're not that far off from being back where we were, but to be higher than that, you got to continue to develop the talent here and get better young talent. That is why I said hitting on your next few draft picks is hugely important. It's important that Modest Busilises is a hit, right? Wherever you view a hit, I'm just saying, I'm not saying he needs to turn into a superstar, but he needs to be a hit of a draft pick. The 2025 draft pick, if we keep it, needs to be, and if we don't keep it, then 2026, 2027 onward, where we own our own first round pick outright, you have to hit on those picks. The level of which you need to hit on them is different, right? Depending on where you draft at, but you need to start hitting on those picks. We can't have so many maybes. We got to have hits. And you got to get that through development. You got to get that through building. So overall, seeing the Bulls and looking at the Bulls marketing material over the summer kind of put me in that spot of looking and saying, hey, the Bulls are pushing these young guys. They've moved away from the older generation and have started promoting it. Now, let's hope that that investment comes on the court, which also plays a part into Billy Donovan. And that's the part that a lot of people don't have faith in. And I ain't here to try to sell you on it. I don't know if I have faith in Billy Donovan, like to develop these young guys. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know. For everything that I look at and say, the Io DeSumus, the Coby Whites, right? The fact that he played Julian Phillips more than what he played like a Dalen Terry, then Julian Phillips went down. But like Julian Phillips was on path to play maybe 50, 55 games this season before he went down with injury, right? Those type of things. I don't know if I believe it, if I trust Billy Donovan to do it or not. I just don't know. As much as I have issues with Billy Donovan, the X's and O's part of the game, I try to still be fair with him and how I view his coaching and things like that. But like, I don't know if I have the biggest confidence on Billy Donovan to develop Modest Bucilis. I just don't know. And so, that's a place where it sucks to be in. And Billy Donovan is a huge part of this. Yes, he's only on a 2-year contract, but if he is not invested, and we got an episode on that, so I'm not going to dig in that as well. If he's not fully invested in these players that we have here, and no, just because he stayed here with the Chicago Bulls and didn't decide to move on does not mean that he's fully invested. Hell, Monty Williams took a job in players that he wasn't fully invested in. So, but we'll see. We'll see. But with that said, one of Patrick Williams' draft mates, right, a player that was drafted in Patrick Williams' class, got a contract extension in Isaac Okoro. Now, he waited long into free agency to do that. He was a restricted free agent. The Cleveland Cavaliers, reportedly he didn't take the qualifying offer to allow the Cavs to go out and have a little bit more flexibility in what they did in some of their other contract extensions. That's what was reported. Take that for what you will. But then when you look at the contract breakdowns between these guys, Isaac Okoro signed a 3-year, $38 million deal, which works out to about an average salary of $12.66 million, right? And so he got that. Then you also look at the fact that Patrick Williams got a 5-year deal with an average annual salary, because it's just a flat contract, of $18 million. And the production between these two raises the question on, I've been saying that the Bulls got great value on this deal for Patrick Williams because this contract is going to end up being more like a mid-level exception. The fact that it's a straight contract, that it's flat, it doesn't increase, basically means that you get more of your cap back every single year, because generally contracts increase every year in the NBA, even Isaac Okoro's does. But then when you look at the production that they've had for their careers, so both have played 4 seasons in the NBA. They both have had injury concerns. Now, I would say this, Isaac Okoro has actually played more games than Patrick Williams, because Patrick Williams has had more severe injuries that have ended the season early. Patrick Williams over the 4 seasons have played 213 games, started 175 of those. Isaac Okoro, on the other hand, has played 279 games and has started 216 of those games. And over those time periods, Patrick Williams over his career has an average of 9.7 points per game on 46% shooting from the field, 41% shooting from 3, 4.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists, right under a steal, right under a block per game over the course of his NBA career, and 1.3 turnovers. When you look at Isaac Okoro, he's averaged 8.5 points per game, so not that much off, 46% shooting from the field, which is basically the same exact as Patrick Williams. He's 46.7. Patrick Williams is 47.9. Three-point shooting, big discrepancy there. Isaac Okoro is a 34% three-point shooter, almost 35%. Now, he takes, as far as three-pointers, he takes 2.7 per game. Patrick Williams is a 41 and takes 2.8 per game. So Patrick Williams hitting at a higher clip, where it ends up him making about a half to 3 more a game than Isaac Okoro. Everything else is extremely similar, right? 2.9 rebounds. Patrick Williams gets more rebounds, but he plays power forward, so he should. 1.7 assists, right under a steal, and right under a half a block per game. But Isaac Okoro also 0.9 turnovers per game, so not a full turnover per game. The question is here now is that did that deal to Isaac Okoro put a different light on Patrick Williams' contract? And here's what I'll say on this. While Isaac Okoro has started more games That's only by the strength of he's been more healthy. And the least amount of games that Isaac Okoro has played over his 4 years has been 67. The least amount that Patrick Williams has played is 17, and then 43 last year. He played 71 the year prior to that, and then he played 82 the year prior. Prior to last season. In his first year, it was 71. Didn't explain that correctly. So, is that a $5 million a year difference between those two players? Right. That's what you want to ask yourself. Kind of even more closer to $6 million per year. Is it $6 million a year more than what Isaac Okoro has brought? And that's where you have to get into and ask that question. Now, different positions. Isaac Okoro has been more on the wing, small forward, shooting guard. Patrick Williams has been primarily just a power forward over his NBA career, other than playing small forward his rookie year. And so the production is better. So you got to give Patrick Williams credit for that. The production is better, albeit by small margins. Now, you have to ask yourself, when you look at them as well, Patrick Williams is about a full year younger than Isaac Okoro. It's basically 8 months, but almost a full year younger. So not even that much of a difference, right? That is an interesting point. And again, the only reason why this matters is because, again, the Chicago Bulls have basically throughout their time, the Chicago Bulls front office, throughout their time running this team, have overpaid on basically every asset that they've signed or traded for. Almost every one of them, they've overpaid for it. And is this another sign of it? Now, I'll say that I still view Patrick Williams' upside right now at much higher than Isaac Okoro's. I just do that. Now, that could be because he's a Chicago Bull, and I've seen every single game that he's ever played, and that may be why I view it that way. I want to be clear there. I am acknowledging that there could be some bias there as far as the games and the players that I watch more regularly. But I want to throw this one to you guys. How do you feel now hearing the numbers, hearing the breakdown of their production? Do you view Isaac Okoro as being that much worse of a player than Patrick Williams to where there should be an almost $6 million a year difference on average between those two guys? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. If you're on the podcast side, I'll tell you guys how to get your thoughts in there. But overall, I look at it and say, this is a deal that I still think could end up paying off huge for the Bulls to where, it could be a value contract for the Chicago Bulls. I want to be clear here. But as it stands right now, if neither guy makes any improvements and this is just who they are over the course of the rest of their careers, I don't know if that value is that much different. But let me know what you guys think. With that said, last topic of the day before we dive briefly into the mailbag, because you got a voicemail from Shay that is kind of older, I don't want to leave in there, is the Bulls have announced, or not, well, they've alluded to their new City Edition jerseys in this. And, City Edition jerseys, the Bulls have always done pretty good. There have been some that, of course, that I've liked more than others. Last year's City Edition jerseys really grew on me. Still were kind of one of my least favorite. But they posted that the City Edition reveal is coming 11/14/2024. Now, it's probably going to be leaked before then. I just want to be clear there. We'll probably get a leak. We usually get a leak probably right after training camp, sometimes even before training camp, as far as the City Edition jersey. So I don't expect it to be any different this year. But that's the first time that I'm guessing the Chicago Bulls are going to wear their jerseys. No, we don't play on 11/14. We play on 11/13 and 11/15. So that would probably mean that if they plan on officially revealing them out, maybe we play them because we do play at home against Cleveland on November 15th. So maybe that's going to be the first time that we wear them. But I'm always interested to see the City Edition jerseys for the Chicago Bulls and see how those end up shaking out and what those end up turning into, because it's just kind of an exciting time, right? Just because you get a new jersey every single year, that is something that's still fairly, new when you look at the history of the NBA for so long. And the Bulls jerseys, for the most part, have had very small changes. So anything that we kind of look at as far as changes or new Bulls jersey has to come through that City Edition jersey. Coby White, kind of in shadow, was used as the promo image there. So we'll see what that turns into. But let me know what you guys down below. What would you like to see as far as the Chicago Bulls City Edition jersey this year? As far as color scheme, style, anything kind of more akin with maybe previous City Edition jerseys? Let me know all that down below. All right, with that said, we got one voicemail that we need to play today. This one's from Shay.
Hey, what's up, Haize? Hey, you ever thought about this? Maybe AK doesn't like a lot of Eastern Conference teams, or don't want a lot of Eastern Conference teams to get better than him with the help of trading a player to their team. Think about it. Because a team like the Atlanta Hawks, they could probably use a player like Zach LaVine. And a whole lot of teams in the Eastern Conference could use a player like him, could use a player like him, but AK refuses to make trades for those teams. Hell, even with the Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan trade, you ever notice that he traded both of those guys to Western Conference teams? And his trades for the last couple of years, besides the Vooch trade and besides the trade with Daniel Gafford, have all been with Western Conference teams, majority of them. I know he's made trades with Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic and Washington Wizards, yes, but if his trades are usually with the Western Conference teams. You ever thought that to be strange? I'm just thinking about it because I believe we could have got Zach LaVine up out here a long time ago, but I think he really wants to just send Zach LaVine to a Western Conference. But hey, that's just what I believe. Anyway, tell me what you think. Peace.
All right, Shay, here's what I'll say to that. I don't like AK hasn't just made a lot of trades. So I think you're looking at the last few trades that he made. Yeah, that's because he hasn't really made very many trades since initially putting this team together. And here's the thing. Where AK is and where the Bulls are, you can't worry about it. You got to do what's best for your franchise. You can't worry about making other teams because there's so many teams already better than you in the Eastern Conference that you're trying to claw your way up. And the Bulls right now are in a place where they are trying to, develop, right? But I don't think they have any misgivings that there's no trade that's going to all of a sudden make them this better team than the teams that are ahead of them in the Eastern Conference. So I get what you're getting at, and maybe there is some reluctance to trade them within the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying that that's, not a possibility there, but I just don't know if that's the focus. Because most of the teams that we've heard rumored for the last year or so to be interested in Zach LaVine also are Western Conference teams. So I don't know if that's the case, right? I don't know if AK is just holding on to this piece in Zach LaVine because he doesn't want when, clearly the Bulls are hoping to be able to move on from that. So, we'll see. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility in the back, but I'll just say this. You got bigger things to worry about, brother. The Bulls right now have bigger things to worry about than worry about making a team in the Eastern Conference better considering how far down the ladder they are in the Eastern Conference. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I can see where your thought process is rooted in. You're not wrong for that. I just don't know if that's where AK is right now, but I could be wrong on that one. You guys can let me know how you feel down below on that one. Great voicemail from Shane. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See Red if you can, y'all. Before I say peace, though, stay after the little ending scene because they got an Easter egg in there for you guys. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See Red, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.
That's why he got the title of the most impacted, because if he would have went to any of those other teams, he would have won a championship.
I think you got confused. I think you thought you were showing up to debate MTEL. You showed up to debate Haize. Do you realize the title of the topic that we had? You just said, why bring up the team that he got drafted to in a debate where we're talking about whose team impacted the legacy more often? Dion, let me ask you something. I get it. I understand. I showed up in black. I look better than you. Did I frazzle you that much that you lost the title of the debate and what we're on? Come on, brother. Let's get focused here. Yeah, pull out your stat sheet. Maybe the audience can help you a little bit better in this round, because to say that the team that Kevin Garnett got drafted to didn't impact his legacy, the fact of the matter is that KG was looked at as a winner. He was looked at as a winner with a front office and a franchise that was incompetent, a franchise that traded Stephon Marbury 3 years into his career where his value was at an all-time high and got 2 players back that were out the league in 2 years, didn't get any draft picks, anything back at all in that. That incompetence doesn't affect the greatness of Kevin Garnett? Come on, brother. What are we talking about here? Like I said, I understand you may have thought that you showed up to the debate to battle Jack or MTEL. You showed up to debate Haize. I need you to get your facts together, get your stat sheet together, and come back in round 2 because, boy, you're not cooking nothing here.